numbers from the previous week, we, I think one of the things we glaze over all the time is what the PPG goal is for the next week. But the PPG goal might be one of the more important things to talk about, and that is going to determine where you're headed. How many of you listen to? Let's see, what was it called? How many of you guys listen to the Echo of Life, the Ed Milet podcast? The Echo of Life. Okay. Okay. So maybe, what were some of your thoughts from that, Luis? Just share. Yeah. That's one of the big takeaways. It's the stuff you say every week. Listen to me. Coming from that this time. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, really, just reiterating what Luis was just talking about. A lot of times. I think the way Ed put it, and there's a lot of ways that you could kind of see it, but he was saying it's kind of like reading a news article today, but really the headlines happened 2 weeks ago. And so it's old news, but what you are experiencing right now is a reflection of what you did 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. So if you're not closing business, then 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, you probably didn't have good activity plans, you didn't have your schedule set, you didn't have sort of daily activity laid out. So what's the answer then? The answer is to have every day mapped out. So what are you going to do today? What are you going to do tomorrow? What does the next 7 days look like? I know the numbers this morning, as Amy went over the numbers, they were kind of presented as maybe a little bit of doom and gloom, but the reality is, it was a holiday week, and the numbers were actually pretty consistent with how most weeks look if you factor in the reality of having a holiday in the mix. So it really wasn't a bad week. If you took a couple of days out of the week, added 20-25% to the numbers, then they look fairly consistent. So nothing really changes. It's always the same game. It's always the numbers. And if every single day you just have a consistent activity plan, it doesn't take a whole lot, but a lot can happen with a consistent plan of activity. So you just need to have it mapped out. What am I going to do today? What are my minimum standards? How many some of these numbers, I would just challenge you to say that, you know, if everybody hit the numbers that are here, you would very, very likely hit your goals for the month if you were just doing these numbers. And how realistic are these numbers that you gave?
Very realistic.
Yeah, very realistic. Now, some of you should probably be doing double the numbers that are up there, and then some extraordinary things can happen. But even if you hit these numbers, you know, great things, you know, can take place. And I'll just remind you that, you know, if you're full-time, if this is your only ball game, this is what you do, then the numbers should be 15 in prospects, 15 in contacts, one-on-one should be 8, and then guests should be 2. Those are realistic numbers for a full-time activity, and that's not killing it. That's just every day doing just a little bit. That's not even 2 one-on-ones a day. That's just 1 to 2, you know, each day. And so, you know, something to think about if you really want to crank things up is, you know, increase those numbers on the front end. But again, if you just hit these numbers that are here, you'd be pretty happy with the results that you have, you know, this month. You know, suddenly you gain a little bit of momentum, some positive things start happening. I'll tell you always, you know, I sound like a broken record, but the number one thing that changes everything immediately is getting a new recruit. You get a new recruit on board, you get that person in the field, you make them a client, and suddenly there's a whole new breath of energy that gets, you know, placed into your business. So if you really want to shake things up, you know, focus on getting the guests out. The guest numbers that are listed up here are, you know, would be the most impactful thing that you could have happen if you got guests out. And I know that it's, you know, when I asked about guests, I think it was Chris, and Chris said, you know, are those for this week because, you know, the meeting's tomorrow. Yeah, you know, we do that meeting, we do this meeting every week, and what you're going to reap next week is going to be based on what you do this week. Does that mean, though, that you can't get, if you had nothing going on, that you couldn't get a guest for tomorrow? You know, absolutely not. There's been a ton of times in my career where I haven't had any guests committed the day of, and I went out and prospected somebody and just got really urgent and tried to drive, you know, somebody to the meeting and got it done and was able to, you know, get some great things happening. But it's that sense of urgency that that often people are missing that's a problem. So, you know, get a sense of urgency from these goals. And, you know, as a side note, you know, I haven't done a BPM now in a few months.
Yeah.
Is that about what it is?
Yeah.
But tomorrow night I do the BPM in South Jordan. So, you know, getting some guests out tomorrow night would probably be pretty good. Be a lot of good positive energy. I've got a lot of bottled up BPM, you know, passion in me. So, but you know, plan on that. And those of you that are here in Clearfield, I may not be at the meeting this Wednesday night. I still have vacation time and stuff with my kids this week for summer stuff, but we'll see how that unfolds. What we've been doing lately is just kind of wrapping into the Brown training and sort of combined and then splitting off where it suits us, and so it shouldn't, you know, we shouldn't skip a beat if I'm not here. So, all right, Don.
Before we hang up, about the book we talked about on Saturday, maybe they can't hear me.
We had a little bit of a turnout on Saturday. There were some people not here, some people are here. So we decided, unless Michael wants to change it up, that every meeting we would read 2 chapters. So they're going to take care of it on Tuesday, the first 2 chapters down there. We would do the first 2 chapters here on Wednesday. Then on Saturday it would be the next 2 chapters. And then the closer we get to convention, we might have to read 3 chapters.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to get it done and read before convention. And then if there's any activities that Michael wanted to add or we needed to add, we would start working on that after convention, is the game plan we came up with.
Okay, cool.
While you weren't here.
Yeah, that's great. Who has the book?
Everybody that ordered a book got a book, plus 2 extras. Demetrius came on Saturday. He got the book. And then I think I'm out of books, so I don't have any extras. So.
Okay. Cool. Has anyone read the book already?
Demetrius read 4 chapters. He got hooked when I gave it to him. But I think he was the furthest. Kevin and I read a little bit because Kevin was going to do it on Saturday, but he couldn't make it. So I did a little bit of it, but that's why we decided to start over for the meeting. And
So this will be chapter 1 and 2.
Yep. So at each of the meetings, and then Saturday will be 3 and 4. It's going to be a little hard here because we have inner circle school.
Yeah.
But there's meetings apart, so Jace might have to run that part on Saturday here. So they all should be coming down on Saturday anyway, but
Yeah.
I just see if they show up. So.
Okay. Great. Well, good luck with the week. And I'll see everyone at South Jordan tomorrow, and then let's just focus on hitting these activity plans. And it's always a great idea if you hit your activity plan, your activity goals for the day, post it on Slack, let people know what you're doing, and get some positive reporting and accountability going on. All right?
Sweet.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Thanks, brother.